The thing is, I didn't see it until it was right above me, blocking out the sliver of moonlight. Not a bird, not a bat. It was too big, too dark, and smelled like wet earth and something ancient and rotten. The wings didn't flap, they glided, silent as dust, and the air around it went stone cold. I remember thinking, this is how it ends, with the taste of unripe mango still on my tongue. I grew up in a small village outside Kumasi, Ghana. Life was simple. We had our farm, the school, the church, and the forest. The forest wasn't just trees, it was where the spirits lived, the Samanfo. Everyone knew the rules: respect the forest, don't whistle at night, and never, ever go near the baobab tree at the old river bend after the sun sets. My name is Kofi. I'm 19, and I was stupid. It was the peak of mango season. Our family's tree was mostly picked clean, but down by the old, dry riverbed was a giant, wild mango tree. The fruit on that tree was the best, sweet, juicy, and huge. My little sister, Akojua, had been sick with a fever, and she kept asking for a big, ripe mango. Around 10 p.m., I couldn't sleep. The moon was out, bright and fat. I looked at my sister, sweating and tossing in bed, and thought, I can be quick. The tree is only a 15-minute walk. I get one perfect mango and be back before anyone knows. I grabbed a small sack, a flashlight, and slipped out of the hut. The path was easy. The moonlight was so bright I didn't even need the light until I was deep in the bush. When I got to the tree, I could see the dark shapes of the mangoes hanging heavy. I picked 4 of the best ones, firm but perfectly ripe. That's when I heard the singing. It wasn't a human voice. It was a high, thin, scratchy sound, like dry leaves rubbing together in the wind, but it had a rhythm. It was coming from the direction of the old baobab tree, which was maybe 100 yards away. My blood turned to ice. I dropped the sack of mangoes. I knew I should run, but my feet felt glued to the dirt. I had to look. I crawled on my belly, slow and silent, until I could peek around a thicket of thorns. Under the huge, twisted baobab, there was a fire, a very small, odd fire that didn't smoke. And around the fire were 3 figures. They weren't people. They were tall, skinny, and their skin was the color of dried mud. They had long, spindly limbs, and their faces were just shadows with bright, hungry pinpricks of light for eyes. The singing was coming from them. They were rocking, dancing a slow, jerky dance. And in the center, between them and the fire, was a pile of something white. I didn't need to get closer to know what the white things were. They were bones. Then, one of them stopped dancing and tilted its head. I couldn't see its eyes, but I felt them on me, like a physical pressure. The singing stopped. The silence was louder than any scream. I ran. I didn't care about the mangoes, the sack, or the flashlight. I ran like the devil himself was breathing on my neck. I didn't look back. I burst out of the trees and onto the open path. I was maybe halfway home, thinking, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, when the moon went out. That's when the thing from the beginning happened. I looked up. It was a shadow that didn't belong, bigger than any bird of prey. It swooped, and a hot, foul air rushed past my face. I stumbled, hitting the ground hard, dropping to my knees. I closed my eyes, ready to die. But the thing didn't grab me. It landed on the path 10 feet in front of me with a soft thud that shook the ground. It was like a man, but impossibly tall, maybe 10 feet high, covered in thick, matted hair like a shaggy cow, but black as the night. Its arms hung low, almost touching the ground. It didn't move. It just stood there, breathing. The sound of its breath was a wet, ragged whisper. I could only make out 2 details in the dark, a pair of huge, yellow eyes that seemed to glow, and in its massive, 3-fingered hand, it held a single, perfect, ripe mango. One of the ones I had picked. It didn't growl. It didn't speak. It just took a slow, deliberate bite out of the mango. The chewing sound was wet and loud. It stared directly at me while it ate. Then, with the mango half eaten, it simply turned around and vanished into the darkness of the trees, silent as the shadow it was. I didn't stop running until I smashed through the door of our hut. I don't know what it was. A guardian. A trickster. One of the true Samanfo. I never told anyone, not even my mother. I just went to bed, shaking under my blanket, with the smell of wet earth and rotten meat still strong in my nose. Akojua got better. But a few days later, on our porch, I found something. It was a small, smooth river stone, and sitting on top of it was a single, half-eaten, perfect mango. I threw it in the fire. I haven't gone near the forest after sundown since. And I will never again look at a beautiful, ripe mango the same way.